This is Auxbeam's 12 button switch panel. This thing is an absolute unit. It comes with its own remote, and in today's video we're going to unbox it, install it, and review it. Let's get right into the video. Starting with the box. Whenever you see a company put this much time and effort into a box, you know their product is about to be super sick. On the front of the box, you got all of the information you really need. This is a 12 gang multi-function switch panel with RGB backlighting, 3 different lighting modes, on and off memory function, a built-in Bluetooth module, wireless remote control, and you can also manually turn off the backlighting. On the side of the box, you got some cool little logos. This is made out of aluminum. One other cool thing is it is waterproof. Moving on to the back of the box, for all of my spec nerds, this is where things get interesting. So you can see your max current of 100 amps, you can see the voltage, 12 to 24 volts. When it's operating at 12 volts, you get the 1200. When you're operating at 24 volts, you get that 2400 watts. This is also waterproof IP65. I don't know how good that is. I assume it's pretty good. The dimmable function is auto sensing, which is a really nice feature. And this thing can operate anywhere from -40 degrees all the way to 221 degrees Fahrenheit. And then you have your 3 lighting modes: toggle, momentary, and pulse. Very nice. Now that's enough yapping about the box. Let's open this bad boy up and see what we get inside. As soon as you open up the box, you are going to be presented with a little baggie. Now this baggie has a lot of stuff. First and foremost, it has some nice Auxbeam swag. Secondly, it has stickers for your switch panel. And last but not least, it has instructions. Even though you're watching this video, I definitely recommend opening up the instructions, taking a peek, because there's a lot of really good information that even I may miss. Once you remove the styrofoam, you are presented with the beast itself. This thing is absolutely massive. This is pretty much the brain of the operation. This is where everything that's in this box is going to somehow be connected to. This thing is absolutely beefy. On the bottom, it's ribbed, I'm assuming so that it can dissipate heat easier. Sounds pretty cool when you run your fingers across it. I don't know why you would do that, but I did. This is the controller. This is what's gonna help you control your 12 accessories. You get 12 buttons, so you got a lot of room to play with. Also, super clicky, and it's fun to play with. This thing is too cool. Later in the video, you'll see why, but let me just say this is a feature that I wasn't 100% sold on, but let me tell you, it is my favorite thing in the entire box, and I cannot wait to actually start using this thing. You also get a circuit breaker. This circuit breaker is a big lifesaver. It is a time saver. It is my peace of mind with this system. Knowing that if I ever pull too much power, this thing is here to shut off the power before it ruins anything is such a good feature. Next up, you got the wiring. The red cables are gonna go from the battery to the circuit breaker, from the circuit breaker to your switch panel, and then the black cable is going to need to be grounded, again, from the switch panel to wherever you can ground it at. We'll get into that later in the video, no worries. You also get a dust cover. I think this is super cool because they're thinking about everybody. Me personally, well, I have a truck, and honestly, I don't see myself sending it in the sand or in the mud or anywhere really, but if you're a Jeeper, I don't know if that's what they call you, but if you're into Jeeps and you're off to sending it with your doors off, kudos to you. Slap this cover over your Auxbeam controller without having to worry about it ruining your equipment. You get 2 different sets of mounting brackets. One set is made for the inside of the vehicle, and the other set is made for the exterior of the vehicle, or wherever you mount your switch panel at. But if you have space, I definitely recommend it. It's going to be probably the sturdiest option you can find. And secondly, in the interior, if you don't have a lot of space, the mounting brackets that I provide make it super easy for you to mount it practically anywhere. This cable is going to run from your switch panel to whatever fuse you decide to tap into. This black cable is going to be what controls this. You also get 2 different fuses. Some vehicles have a micro fuse, others have a standard fuse. The Tundra uses a standard fuse. The antenna. This antenna is going to be what you are going to need for the remote to actually work. The antenna is probably the second coolest feature that comes in this box. I don't know why. It seems super cool to me. Lastly, zip ties. Zip ties are always welcomed in my house. If you are running 12 different lights, 12 different accessories, you're gonna need zip ties, like big time. All right, and now it is time for the install. Now, I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing, so I popped the hood and it hit me. I have no space to put this massive switch panel. Now, the show must go on, so I did a little bit of thinking, some brainstorming, and we're gonna put it on top of the fuse box cover. I'll be honest, maybe it doesn't look cool to you, but I was very proud of myself. It came out super good. Now that we got the switch panel in place, now it's time to hook everything up. First and foremost, make sure to disconnect the battery. What I'm about to show you is no one's fault but mine. Mine and only mine, I messed up. I forgot to disconnect the battery. I knew I was supposed to, I forgot to. So it's not Auxbeam's fault, it's not Toyota's fault, it's not the battery's fault, it's this guy's fault. Watch this. I will say, Auxbeam saved the day. Had I done this, and I didn't have that circuit breaker in, this would have been probably a melted truck. I think. I don't know. But the circuit breaker felt a lot of power going and cut the power, proving that the circuit breaker, in fact, does work. So what you're seeing here is me connecting the power lines, connecting one of the power lines from the battery to the circuit breaker, and then we're going to connect the other power line from the circuit breaker to the switch panel itself. The wires are a little bit stiff, so move them around, play with them, and you'll be able to maneuver them however you'd like. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. As you can see on the switch panel, all you have to do is unscrew it. It's a Phillips head screwdriver. I used a flathead because I couldn't find a Phillips head screwdriver. Unscrew it and then just screw it back in, and now your connection is wired. It's hot. It is ready to go. Now I'm working on the ground source. Toyota has a ground cable right next to the battery, so this is super helpful. I'm just going to undo the screw, connect one end of the black cable that is provided by Auxbeam, and run that to the switch panel. So right now what I'm working on is getting this cable wired inside of the cabin. Now, the black cable that comes with the Auxbeam is what you're going to plug in to the switch panel itself. It's a pretty long wire. You're going to run it from the switch panel to wherever you're going to run it to. In my case, it's inside of the cabin. Just had to go through a firewall, not too difficult. Once I got that done, now it's time to get some power to the switch panel itself. Tundra needs a standard fuse, and then we're going to get that red cable that came inside of the box, crimp it down, and you are good to go. Give it a little tug, make sure it's not going anywhere. Now it's time to find the proper fuse. In my case, I found an ignition fuse, so that's why I tapped it in. It's a 10 amp fuse. Plugged it in, and we're good to go. Lastly, we have the antenna. The antenna is very simple. Just screw it on and you are good to go. The base of the antenna is magnetic, so you can put it anywhere in the engine bay. I would keep it away from anything that is moving or hot. So let's just recap real quick. You got your power cables that are going one from the battery to the circuit breaker, from the circuit breaker to the Auxbeam switch panel. You got your ground cable going from the Auxbeam going to some sort of ground. You got this black cable that is going inside of the cabin, at least for me, for my actual controller. And you also got this red power cable that is going from the switch panel into my fuse box. And just like that, it's time to hook something up. Alright, so I hooked up a light to give us a little bit of a demonstration. I want to show you the 3 different light modes that this Auxbeam provides. So when you hit the toggle button, pretty much what it means is when you press the button, it turns on. And it will stay on until you press the button again, which I think this is good when you are off-roading, when you are camping, when you are going down a long stretch of road that you know there's no light, you know there's no oncoming traffic. You leave your lights on and you can go as far as you need to go, and then once you're back on main road or there's light, then you can pop it off. That's what I think is the best option. Next up, you got the momentary mode. The momentary mode I think works best for air horns. I don't know of anything else you would want to use it with unless you have like a super strong light, a spotlight maybe that you only want to turn on momentarily. Click the button once and it flashes once. If you hold down the button, then it'll hold for as long as you need it to. And last but not least, you have pulse. This one is super sick. This one I think is going to provide the most amount of value for the most amount of people. Pulse pretty much means that it's flashing. It's rapidly flashing, or you can slow it down or speed it up. Depends on you. But this works great for construction sites. So if you pull up to the site and you need to have your hazard lights on, everyone can see you and you're up to code. You don't have to worry about getting any citations. So those are the 3 lighting modes. Now let's talk about the 3 different controllers that you get. Now we're going to talk about the pros and cons of all 3. I only have 2 here. The third one, well, it's my least favorite, but it is the easiest and I think it has the most functionality. That's right, your phone. This thing is Bluetooth. Now to control this from your phone, you are going to need an application that is available for Android and for iPhone. You can change the modes from toggle, momentary to pulse. Whatever you want to do, you can do it in this app. And let's say we got rid of the other 2 controllers, you have your very own switch panel on here. So what you're looking at here is how you can actually customize the icons. You can put a picture. So for my Toyota Tacoma, I would take a picture of the light and then put it as the icon, which is super cool. It gives you a lot of customizability, which I think is nice, but you also have the default icons. Now I'm going to demonstrate it to you. Which seems easier to you? You're driving. Oh no, a dark road. Now you have to grab your phone, bring it up to my face to unlock it, go into my applications, find the application that I need, while I'm driving, looking down at my phone, and hope that I'm clicking the right button. The problem with this is you don't get any feedback. So I'm touching all over the screen, but I don't know what I'm doing. Moving on to number 2, my second favorite. This one, you know where it is. So, same scenario, let's talk about it. Let's say we come across a road we don't know. We're panicking, we need some type of light source. You already know where your switch panel is, you just reach, click, it's on. With this controller, you are able to do everything the phone is able to do except for adding pictures as your icon. Other than that, you get a bunch of stickers, you can customize it however you would like. I honestly don't know how I'm gonna fill up 12, but I'm going to try my very best. I saved the best for last. This thing is wicked. You guys hit a home run with this. I don't think people understand how cool this is until they actually use it. I didn't know how this was gonna work. I didn't think it was gonna work as well as it did. Wow. First off, just as clicky. Secondly, it's handheld. Third, this one makes me feel cooler than the other one. So at the time of recording, I forgot to test the range. So we're gonna test the range now. We are not here to judge anybody about their outfits, about their pajamas. We are here to test the range on the controller. So I set up the camera and I set up some lights, and I'm going to go on a walk and see how far of a range that I get. I'm at my house, so I decided just to walk down the street and see how far I got. I realized this whole thing could be faked, but I promise you it's not. You guys know me, I wouldn't lie to you, especially about a controller. I am very shocked, I am very surprised. So I'm walking down and I am halfway down the street, and I am still able to turn this thing on. About 3/4 of the way down the street, I start to get a little bit scared because I'm, well, one, pretty far away. Secondly, there's a strong wind and I'm scared my camera's about to get knocked over. But thirdly, I'm walking down my street with a walkie-talkie in my hand, pointing it at my house. But I get to the end of the street and it is still working. This thing is absolutely no joke. I would have kept going further, and maybe one day I will. But there's a house right there and I didn't want to get kicked off of somebody's lawn. Just think about it, dude in pajamas on somebody's lawn on a Sunday morning with the walkie-talkie in his hand. It wouldn't have worked out for me. You get 3 different controllers, you get 12 different buttons, you get a super easy install, you get the circuit breaker making sure that you're okay. This thing is the real deal. It is here to play, and they are continuously upgrading their products. If you are interested in this product, it will be linked down below. Pick yourself up one. I promise you will not be disappointed. This controller, you have to get it. This is the coolest thing that I've used on any of my vehicles, and maybe a gimmick, but I think it's super sick.